Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you guys are doing well. For a lot of people out there, 2024 has almost been the year of the clone. Seems like every single week there's like 10 new clone fragrances that hit the market, and now more than ever, clone fragrances are actually awesome for the price. It used to be years back, most of them were kind of terrible. But nowadays, it's like the quality is here, the price is here, and that's just made them more and more popular. And since we're at the end of 2024, or pretty close to it anyway, I decided to go ahead and do my Keep 10 Clone Fragrances for Life. So this list today is basically what I personally feel are 10 of the best clone fragrances that you can get right now. And if I had to trash all of the clone fragrances I have, which is a lot, these are the 10 that I would want to keep the most. All of these are going to be linked in the description, so feel free to check them out there. Let's jump straight into it with this one, Liquid Brun. This fragrance is from French Avenue, which is part of Fragrance World, and this is a clone of Parfums de Marly's ALTHAIR. And this is one of those clone fragrances that just pretty much nails it. When you smell this in the air, for 99.9% of people, it's gonna be indistinguishable from ALTHAIR. So you're basically getting something that smells way more expensive than it actually is. So this is one of those ones, and I've talked about this before, where you just lie about it. If somebody asks you what you're wearing, just tell them you're wearing the Parfums de Marly. Nobody needs to know. Unless you want to be a bro, and then you can let them in on the secret, let them know what it is, but otherwise, just keep that to yourself. So this one has a bunch of vanilla, it has cinnamon, cardamom, touch of orange blossom, and praline as well. And if all that's not good enough, it also has great performance. So like everything about this is just fantastic. This is one of the best clones that I got this year, hands down, if not the best. And with how much ALTHAIR has grown on me, which is a lot, this right here, this one does it for me. Also a huge compliment puller as well, if you're after that. After that one, this Dark Door Intense from Maison Alhambra, which is part of Lattafa. And what could Dark Door Intense be? Well, you can maybe tell just by taking a look at the presentation style. It's not the exact same as the fragrance that it's a clone of, but it's close enough that you can recognize it. This is a clone of Dior Homme Intense, and Dior Homme Intense is one of my personal favorite fragrances ever. Now, there are a few fragrances out there that are kind of clones or inspired by Dior Homme Intense, but this one for me is probably the sweet spot. Doesn't cost a whole heck of a lot, gets really close to capturing that, you know, creamy, rich, sweet, elegant iris DNA. Oh yeah, for me, it's just the best bet, the best one if you're looking for something Dior Homme Intense inspired or very similar to Dior Homme Intense. Also, could remind you of other things like Valentino Uomo Intense, which have been compared to Dior Homme Intense, but honestly, with the name, you know, presentation, we know what this is, right? They're not exactly hiding it. Now, the main difference between this and Dior Homme Intense is that this is not quite as loud as Dior Homme Intense. Dior Homme Intense packs a little more of a punch, but that could be a positive depending on how you view it, because it's gonna make it a little easier to wear, not quite as aggressive, and if you want it to be louder, you can just spray more. Gonna follow that up with It's Essential from Rasasi, which is a clone of L'Homme Ultime from Yves Saint Laurent, which is unfortunately discontinued. L'Homme Ultime was one of my favorite spring fragrances ever, and so to have something that's really similar to that, but for crazy cheap, makes it something that I want. And you can see I've already put like a small dent in this bottle, not a huge one, but still. L'Homme Ultime, in case you weren't around when that one was more popular, which I guess it wasn't that popular, right? Got discontinued after all, but more popular within the fragrance community, we'll say that. If you weren't around for that one, it had an amazing opening, just fantastic smelling, with a lot of ginger in there. It was very bright, fresh, sweet, zingy, attention grabbing, and as it dried down, it had a really pleasant rose note. But it wasn't like a jammy rose, an overly powdery rose or anything like that. Did I say overly? Overly powdery. It was, like I said, very fresh, almost water spritzed, reminded you of spring. It was perfect for that time of year. Unfortunately, discontinued. That means it's going to be more expensive, harder to find, you know the whole drill with that. And this is very, very similar to that fragrance, only for crazy cheap. And as of now, I think this is the only L'Homme Ultime clone from the really big brands, you know, Rasasi, Armaf, Lattafa, Fragrance World, Afnan, Haramain, all those. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I love discontinued fragrances brought back to life through a clone, because then at least you can get something similar to it and you don't have to pay a crazy amount of money. And speaking of clones of discontinued fragrances, Harmony Code Absolute is up next. This one is from Fragrance World. It's a clone of Code Absolute from Giorgio Armani, which is my very favorite Code flanker. And Code has seen a lot of changes over the last number of years. Fragrances coming, fragrances going, even the bottle style changing. But Code Absolute, that one always stood out to me. I thought it was just the best. It did everything I wanted it to do. So Code Absolute, very similar to Code Profumo, which came before it. Maybe Code Profumo a little bit louder, slightly more playful. Code Absolute a little bit more sophisticated and still had very good performance, just not as aggressively in your face. Had a great opening, sweet, spicy, had a bit of a suede leather as well. Huge, huge compliment puller, just massively attention grabbing. Fall and winter time, day or evening, it was just perfect. But because of that discontinuation, it became very difficult to find. The price went up, and that's where this comes in. You can get something that smells like Code Absolute, but so much cheaper. Then I've got to have this one, Khamrah Qahwa from Lattafa. You gotta have something that's a Geisha Sauvage / Angel Share alternative, right? Something that smells in that style. And for me, if I were gonna get just one as of this video, I think it'd be this one. But there are so many good ones out there. The original Khamrah is fantastic. Celerio Epic is very good. Royal Blend from French Avenue is very good. And there's like 5 other ones that are just right at the cusp as well. But for me, with just one choice, I'm taking this one. So it's very similar to Khamrah, but it basically adds in this kind of roast coffee note. So it's not even massively different if you smell them side by side. It's just you get a little bit of that coffee along the edges, especially in the opening and mid as it heads into the dry down, but you still have that sweetness from the original Khamrah. That boozy, spicy, very rich, bold sweetness. It has that. It's just, I think the addition of the coffee makes it a little bit more interesting for me, has great performance, and just like the original Khamrah, it's going to get you noticed. Also, thankfully, not too difficult to find nowadays, so you can pick that up at discounters for a pretty good price. And honestly, the quality of this and the performance, the versatility for fall and winter time that you get, it's a steal. And I've also got to take this one. It's from Paris Corner, or technically Pandora Scents, which is Paris Corner. And this is Milano Prive. And this is going right back to that obsession that I have, like I talked about here and here. It's a clone of a discontinued fragrance. And it's a clone of a discontinued fragrance that I loved, 1 Million Prive from Paco Rabanne. At discounters, you can find this a lot of times for about 25 bucks at Fragrance Buy. That's what it's going for. I've seen other places that it goes sometimes for 40 or people asking for 40, but that Fragrance Buy price, man, really, really solid. So if you've never smelled 1 Million Prive, it is a tobacco fragrance, tobacco forward. So mainly cinnamon, tobacco, tonka, a little bit of orange in there as well off the top. Sweet, spicy tobacco leaf, extremely appealing. That tonka gives it kind of a vanilla feel. Another one, better suited for fall and winter time, and just an amazing grab. And it's kind of like the same thing that happened with Code Absolute, where 1 Million Prive was my favorite 1 million. Absolutely adored the stuff. And then it got discontinued, the price skyrocketed, and thankfully now you can get stuff like this to give you a very similar vibe without spending as much money. And if you're like me and you like those discontinued bottles and you don't want to use them all up because then you're going to have to go look for another one, stuff like this really comes in handy. Then we're going Armaf. Gotta put a Club de Nuit in here, right? I mean, Club de Nuit, that line is iconic at this point for clone fragrances. So you gotta keep one of those. But the one I'm keeping is actually this one. Yeah, it's Club de Nuit PERSEUS 1. They've not come out with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or any of the other ones, which I'm assuming they eventually will, but Pursue one. So this is a clone of Absolute Aventus. And this is also a little more expensive than your typical Club de Nuit clone fragrance. So as of this video, this is about 65 bucks at JOMASHOP, and it's a 55 ml size bottle. So kind of a weird tweener size. And it also has like 72,000 notes, I think that's accurate. I'm just playing. Doesn't have 72,000, but it does have a bunch. Pineapple, caramel, lemon, pear, bergamot, oak moss, woods, ambroxan, vanilla, amber, leather, like a lot going on. And I think I just listed off maybe half. So yeah. Similar to Creed's Absolute Aventus, and a darn good alternative to Absolute Aventus. Actually, as of this video, I'd say it's the best one. And just like Absolute Aventus or normal Aventus, that fragrance you can wear anytime, anywhere, it don't matter. Any season, daytime, evening, office, date, formal, casual, whatever. It smells great right off the top. You know, the original Club de Nuit Intense Ban, a lot of people hate the opening of that one. They say it's rough, too chemically smelling. This one is much higher quality, has great performance. It is an extrait de parfum after all, and it's just really impressive at how good the clones have gotten, and this is an example of that. Then we've got another French Avenue. This is Mirage Absolu. So similar to what I said here with Qahwa rather, and Club de Nuit Perseus, like you have to have a Club de Nuit, right? You have to have an Angel Share-ish type fragrance. You have to have a Layton type fragrance. And that's exactly what this is. It's a little closer to Layton EXCLUSIF than just straight up Layton. And the main issue with this one right now is that it's not really easy to find. It's kind of weird because you would think it would be everywhere. Like easy to find, but it's really not. Fragrance By has the other Mirage that came out the same time as this one, which I forget what the name of that one is, but they have that one available. As of right now, they don't have this one though. And Triple Traders has this one, but Triple Traders is charging like 70 bucks. So it's one of those things where you're like, huh. Now, eventually, this is gonna pop up more places and you'll be able to find it for a better price. And when that happens, it needs to be on your radar, because 70 bucks is a lot for a clone fragrance. And yes, I have seen it sometimes for less than that, even sometimes people asking more than that, but you just don't want to really pay that much higher price, right? So anyway, closer to Layton EXCLUSIF, amazing. This is hands down, easily, one of the best Layton alternatives on the market today. The quality is great. Really, really nice. It's rich, it's spicy, it captures the nuances of Layton. A little twist to it that actually could make it a little easier to wear than Layton EXCLUSIF. It has like a touch of that darkness that Layton EXCLUSIF has, but it's not as animalic. Just an elegant, high quality fragrance, just like Layton and Layton EXCLUSIF. Basically fall through maybe early spring is when you'd want to wear this, daytime or evening. And it's just, the quality here is way up there. Like some of these are a little bit more on the cheaper end and they're just amazing buys at that price point. And some of them like these here are just on the higher end as far as the clone prices go, but also that quality is ramped up as well. So it's kind of like pick your poison. Let's go with the cheap one. Fakhar Black. This is from Lattafa. This is a clone of Y Eau de Parfum from Yves Saint Laurent. And I'm a big fan of Y in general. Y Eau de Parfum, Y Eau de Toilette, Y Live, Y Le Parfum, you know, those are all fantastic scents. And this captures that essence of Y EDP, only it's like 20 bucks. So yeah, it's just one of those ones that's a great bang for your buck. All year round versatility, big compliment factor, easy to wear. And maybe, you know, it would be a little easier to pull this off in summer than even actual Y Eau de Parfum would be. It's not quite as potentially cloying as that one, but it still does capture the overall, like I said, vibe, the essence of the fragrance. It just doesn't punch you quite as much with like a bunch of sweetness right off the top in a very brash way. So gotta go Fakhar Black. And then the last one is Afnan's Turathi Blue. And this is a clone of Tiger from Bulgari. And it's probably the most popular Tiger alternative. There are a bunch, by the way. Tiger is one of those fragrances that is just cloned by everybody. Like 50 million clones of that out there. The Mount Rushmore of most heavily cloned fragrances. It's probably Baccarat Rouge 540, Aventus, Angel Share, and Tiger. Like those 4 fragrances, man, you can't throw a bottle cap and not hit a clone of at least one of those. So yeah, those 4, they are inevitable, and this is one of the best for that particular fragrance. Extremely citrus forward, attention grabbing, and versatile for spring and summertime. If you want Tiger on the cheap, as I said, you've got dozens of options, but most people are probably gonna point you to this one first, and for good reason. Also has really good performance, especially for a spring, summertime type of scent. So there we go, those are the 10. I would keep those 10 clones right there. I think are a great mix mash of cheaper to slightly more expensive, and covers pretty much all my seasons, daytime or evening. Everything here is like totally locked in. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Let me know in the comments your favorite clone fragrance. There are a bunch of great ones that I couldn't put in here since it's just 10. Stay safe out there, guys. I will see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.